look on the for who spend and how we spend, because they're supposed to get the health care the people are right when they need this. And we need to get more careful on this, because some people they need this necessary for people who need this. They cannot live with that. And also we need to provide this for a different way.
Thank you. Mr. Heikes.
Well, I'll be looking for somebody that knows how cost containment in, looking at their salary first. First off, the AG for the state makes $500,000 a year, and our governor makes $148,000 a year. I figured we could save $410,000 a year by finding an AG to do a job for $90,000. So I would look for somebody that was specified in that would just do it for like $60,000 a year, and that way we're really containing costs, starting at the top.
Thank you. Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah, I think that it's really important that we find people that's going to fill positions that's not going to be over what the governor makes. We've got so many people in our own administration that's collecting $700,000 a year and as low as $300,000, not counting their staff. I think it's really important that we take a look at all the commissioners in the state of Alaska and make sure that their jobs are accountable, and the amount of money that they're going to receive is going to be less than what they expect. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Treadwell.
30 seconds is a little tough, but I will say this. I don't like medical tourism. When my wife was fighting a brain tumor, we had to go outside for that. I want to have affordable, accessible health care here in Alaska. And the whole idea of sending people outside because things cost too much here does not work for me. The other thing that I'll just say is that when you talk about fraud and waste, the Walker administration's administration has been awful. And the medical providers will tell you that. Very specifically on cost containment, we need to bring costs down, and the biggest new item is Medicaid expansion. The governor has to answer for that, and we are paying $140+ million where we were told it would be 50. That's one place to start.
Thank you. Mr. Dunleavy.
So looking at the question, we're talking about a commissioner. My administration is going to find the best possible people we can find. And this particular position is absolutely crucial for the state of Alaska for the reasons we've just stated. The cost is going to crush businesses, it's going to crush the state of Alaska. So we need to find somebody who has experience in this area, can read budgets, is up on the latest research, can interface with our federal delegation, those in health and social services at the federal level. We have to find somebody that's going to be really creative and committed to actually driving down costs without sacrificing quality. So that profile of that individual for that commissioner position is absolutely crucial.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you have any questions you would like to have asked of the candidates, please write it down on the question card and hold it up to be collected. Just want to remind the candidates of the screen in front, as some of the questions have been going over. So let's start with question. Let's go on to question 3. You have 30 seconds to respond, and we'll start with Mr. Halakpu. Under Tier 3 water designations, state waters would be classified in a manner that could have the same detrimental effect as the Stand for Salmon initiative. Who should have authority to designate Tier 3 waterways, the legislature, or state agencies?
Well, the legislature not supposed to go in the business to manage them. And those things, tell you, it's unclear here. We have a lot of things we're not supposed to do. And some government, they involve in business, and that's supposed to be do themselves and respect the system how we have in Alaska.
Thank you. Mr. Sheldon.
Yeah, I think the legislators, I think it should go through the process, going through the House and Senate and the governor. Water issues are really important to the state of Alaska. If you take a look at our water table, you can see that we have fluoride, and we have chlorine, and we have the toxic metals and toxins in our water. It needs to be utilized. I think that if we were to take a vote of the people on the fluoride issue, which we have in our campaign that we're trying to get run through, is we need to not be medicating our water system. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Treadwell.
I served in a resource cabinet, and I can tell you that as somebody who helped run, as someone who helped run DEC, permit for Fort Knox to begin with, the legislature always has the call. They can roll back our regulations, and I want to see a legislature that does that. And you, please don't ever leave your government alone. The EPA will come down on the agencies and make them do things that we don't want them to do. I'll stand up to the federal government. I have for my entire career in Alaska, and we're going to keep decision-making by the people with the people.
Thank you. Mr. Dunleavy.
I just want to be sure the question was, is this in the purview of the legislature or the executive? Is that the question?
The question's to your right there.
Okay, because you had added something else. Should it be in the hands of the legislature or the executive? I'm just trying to make sure.
The question was, who should have authority to designate Tier 3 waterways, the legislature or state agencies?
Okay, so once the law is passed, the regulations are put forth, including the process, the permitting process, the regulatory process, that's in the hands of the executive. And you really want to keep it in the hands of the executive once that's been established, because if you don't, you end up politicizing projects, is the problem. And if the legislature gets involved in actually overseeing what really is an executive action, you're going to have problems. So it should stay in the hands of the executive. It should be under that purview.
Thank you. Mr. Hikas.
Well, according to what I've seen the legislature do the last 4 years under Walker, I don't think they should be in charge of anything. They can't even control themselves. So I'm going to agree with Mike that it should be in charge with the executive, and he should be the one that's the fall guy for anything that goes right or wrong in this agency. So I got one to laugh out there. Anyway, there's always somebody's got to stand up for Alaska and these kind of things and deal with these kind of issues. So thank you.
Thank you. Question 4. Now you have 60 seconds to respond to the next question, and we'll start with Mr. Sheldon. The Fairbanks Chamber supports the state's robust permitting process. Preemptive decisions on a project before it has been through the science-based permitting process undermines the credibility of the entire process for future projects. Do you believe that every resource development project should be allowed to go through the permitting process before a decision is made?
Yes, I believe that it should go through the permitting process, because I think it's really important that we go that route. And could you repeat that? I didn't get the last part.
The question or the information before the question?
Yes, I believe it should go through the permitting process. Thank you.
Oh. Mr. Treadwell.
In this campaign, the first debate that all of us had was out in Naknek, and the Pebble Mine's not very popular out there. And we've now heard Mark Begich and Bill Walker say that they would deny due process to somebody who's trying to permit a mine for political purposes. Lately, my opponent's been running another thing saying I should have denied due process in an election decision. I'll tell you, I'm not going to deny your due process, because a governor who wants to deny due process for politics can do that to your parental rights, your gun rights, your property rights. And we have a process in this state for people to come before you and include the public on making permitting decisions, and I would stick with that. And as far as the point that was made before about should the executive or the legislature do this, your legislature passes laws. If the legislature doesn't like the way those laws are being administered, pull them back, please. It's absolutely necessary. And I'm looking at legislators here who stand up all the time when environmental agencies run amok.
Thank you. Mr. Dunleavy.
The answer to that very straightforward question is yes, because if you don't, you're going to politicizing it. We see that happening now, and that's causing instability in the state of Alaska. You have investors flush with cash that want to invest. They look at Alaska, and if we don't follow our permitting processes, we're not going to have the investment. So the answer is absolutely yes. It should go through the process. We should have a standard by which we follow. If we don't, we're going to be in trouble in terms of investment here in the state in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Hikas.
Well, I've watched the permitting process for years from the outside. They take entirely too long to make a decision. If you can make a permitting process and give them a 30-day window in order to get it done, okay, I'm good with that. It's like getting a permit in a house to build a house in Anchorage. It used to be 3 days, now it's 90 days or longer for them to even get a permit to build a house. So actually it's an extended, somebody's got a job with nothing to do and they just spin the wheels while they sit there at their desk. So as long as there's a time limit on it and everything is presented at one time, there should be just a straight up decision for the companies that want to invest in Alaska. If you want them to invest in Alaska, it goes to the governor, to the legislature, and say, okay, this is good, it's a done deal. And it only took us 30 days. And then that way, that money's not out there spinning out there forever with the EPA or other cycles of federal government.
Thank you. Mr. Halatku.
I agree with Mr. Hopkins, but I don't agree with people in Alaska. I got a lot of experience. I worked in Nevada, and they have sprinklers to evaporate the water with that cyanide, and they kill animals, cow over 5 miles around. And this is very dangerous for Alaska. We kill our fish for the next generation. They don't have any more food, natural food. Please, we need to take in consideration no more people mine in Alaska. I don't care the government what they want, because they don't care the food, they don't care the people, they care only the money. Please take in consideration. Do not approve people mine in Alaska. Thank you much for about the permission. They get by phone, hey, you have to approve that, boom. No, I need legislator. If I will be governor, everybody from legislature will get out at home and I put new people to do the right way. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We will now move into a rapid fire round of yes or no questions. There are green and red cards in front of you that are labeled yes and no. For each question, please hold up the card that corresponds with your answer and keep it up until all candidates have responded. First, we'll start with a warm-up question. Candidates, are you ready? Did you eat breakfast this morning? Do we need another test?
Yes.
All right. Would you support an income tax? All right.
Yes.
Would you support a constitutionalized permanent fund dividend? Do you support the reversal of Medicare expansion in Alaska? And please hold up your cards until everyone has responded.
What was the question?
Medicaid.
Do you support the reversal of Medicaid expansion in Alaska? Card side? Thank you. Is the Alaska liquefied natural gas project on the right track? Do you support an increase in taxes on the oil industry? Very good, thank you. So audience, this is your final reminder. If you have any questions you'd like to have asked, please write them down and hold up the cards. We'll move on to the two final forum questions. So question 11, you'll have 60 seconds to respond, and we'll start with Mr. Treadwell. For the last several years, we have been operating at a deficit. So when state budget cuts are discussed, the public has an appetite to know what specific cuts would be made. What is your strategy or vision for a sustainable, long-term fiscal plan?
My vision for a long-term fiscal plan involves what we've done to set up POMV so that we can use permanent fund income both for a full dividend and for avoiding taxes. I also believe that we need to keep a strong oil industry going. We have missed 4 drilling seasons in making the incentives that we all worked for happen, and we need more oil in the pipeline. The third thing, and you'll find a paper on the back table that is an economic plan we put out, focuses on value-added industry. We've kind of quit doing that in Alaska, and that's incredibly important.